So, I guess where we left off was this guy over here. Obviously, that's a San Francisco jersey, Mickey. The SF doesn't stand for Super Freak. You know this guy JT O'Sullivan? He's played for more NFL teams. He holds a record, and what that record is, it's not most yards in a single season. It's not most running touchdowns by a quarterback. JT O'Sullivan, my fellow Irishman, he's played on more teams in his career than any other player in the history of the NFL.
Popular guy.
Well, I don't know. How does that work? I mean, if he had a significant other, which I imagine he did, somewhere along his career, because he's in his upper 30s now. I mean, when I say to you that he's played for more NFL teams than anyone else, do you have an idea how many teams he's played for? I mean, if you had to guess,
If I had to guess, I'd say JT O'Sullivan has played for 9 different pro football teams.
I think it's higher than that.
Just on a whim.
He's played for some of them twice.
Well, all right.
He's been there and came back
once.
again. The Chicago Bears, I think the Minnesota Vikings. He played for the Detroit Lions at least once. He played for the Cincinnati Bengals at least once. He played for the San Francisco 49ers, which is the jersey that I have. And then on top, and then there was a couple of other NFL teams. San Diego Chargers, I believe. There's a few others, NFL teams.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, like that's not enough. He played for 2 or 3 different Canadian Football League teams.
Ah, see?
I mean, just when she was putting away the final box of silverware.
I think she learned not to really unpack everything. Mrs. O'Sullivan, that is.
She probably, yeah, you're right. She picked that up early. Because like most NFL players,
Practical woman.
most NFL players, they say, well, okay, I'm Mrs. Marino, Mrs. Dan Marino, and Dan and I met at Pittsburgh when he was going to college there, and he was playing for the Pittsburgh Panthers and studying, psychology or whatever he was studying.
Sports psychology.
Could have been. Was he really?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. It sounded good.
I
bought it.
Let's go with it. Sports psychology.
Sports psychology. And then, real life situation, he gets drafted by the Miami Dolphins, and he's good enough and deserves it enough that he spends his entire career there. Well, if he would have got traded like a lot of the players today, let's say, he got traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, they have a home in Miami, and he built a family in Miami, and his wife was like, this is home to us, right? Like any other family. And so he gets traded to Pittsburgh, and they get a home in Pittsburgh, and they keep their home in Miami.
That's what I was going to ask. Are you telling me, Joey, that the O'Sullivans kept all the houses when he got transferred to a new team and a
He's
new
a
job
real
and a new
estate
city?
tycoon out of necessity. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I don't think so.
Maybe he had a hidden agenda, and that was he wanted to have enough houses in enough cities that no matter where his team was playing, he was home, right? It just wasn't the same home.
It's a fair conclusion.
Thank you.
But I don't think so. I kind of like it raises a great question, because that's a lot of moving around, and I kind of tend to go, when you look at everything that's considered with his family and kids and schools and all that, I kind of like your answer. It makes a whole lot more sense. After the third time, she probably had a conversation with JT, and she for sure knows his first and his middle name, so it wasn't JT. She said the full name, and she said, look, you are going to San Diego. The kids and I are staying in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? And what I recommend you do is you find out what it takes to be a football player that a team wants, and you make good with the coaching staff and the owners of Chicago. And you get yourself back here. But in the meanwhile, just keep sending the checks.
Keep sending the checks, yes. Well, the only thing where I differ with you, Joey, is I think that Mrs. O'Sullivan would probably stay in San Diego while JT went to go play in Chicago. Or went to play anywhere else, right?
If she had her druthers.
Well, she might have had her druthers. Would you rather live in San Diego or Chicago?
I get what you're saying, but the point I'm trying to make is it all depends on which teams wanted him in chronological order, succession.
He can't control that.
He can't control that.
I guess he never had like a guaranteed 5-year contract, right?
He never. No, clearly he didn't. I heard that he always had a string around his neck. It was like an expensive type of rope necklace, and dangling on the end of it was a toothbrush, a key, and a little small compact-sized deodorant stick. Because he didn't renew it at any moment.
That he wore around his neck.
He wore it around his neck. Where else were you going to put it where it was permanently there when you needed it?
Nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, if he'd been slightly more normal, he just would have had a rabbit's foot or something, or God knows, I don't know, just whatever else.
Normal's overrated.
Chain.
I mean, Mickey, this is the 2000s. I mean, I
It
can't
is.
even say it's the, party like it's 1999. We're beyond that even, baby.
Yeah, well, he was beyond that, that's for sure. Well, it's one
So-
more way for a player to have an NFL career.
Yeah. So look him up. I could have got a little more detail on it, and I'd be certainly happy to do that if we ever bring up his name again. I can tell you a little bit more detail, where he was at a particular year with a particular team, and I'm sure the man knows a lot of people in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, he was only there for a short time, but I'm sure people are going all over the NFL. I played with that guy too.
He was a quarterback, just to fill in that blank. J.T. O'Sullivan played quarterback in the NFL for lots of teams.
Yes, he did.
But not for lots of years.
He was a
any
southpaw
team.
like me too, Mick. Not to interrupt you.
All right,
So
good.
Please continue.
That's all.
I wanted you to know that, and I didn't want to forget that. And the last time I saw him play, actually, ironically enough, was with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I was sitting somewhere, and I looked up at the TV, and they were last game of the season, or second to the last game of the season, and they weren't going to make the playoffs. And I'm sure, naturally everybody on the squad was like, "Am I going to have a job next year?" And they put J.T. O'Sullivan in the last 2-3 minutes of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, I thought to myself, this is going to be great. I have his jersey. This may be the turning point. And then I can be even more proud to wear this jersey. and they put him in, and I think in 6 plays, he had 2 incomplete passes and 2 fumbles.
Holy Toledo! That's saying something.
And then Mickey,
And let me
believe it or
guess, the
not-
other 2 passes did not go for touchdowns, did they?
No,
No.
no.
Well, that's,
There was some yardage, but-
Imagine being literally in the last 3 minutes of the season.
Yeah, it's your chance to shine.
It's your chance.
And you know what, JT, obviously,
It's your
I'm not,
chance to
I'm not-
figure out what time you're going to get your locker cleaned up and whether you can beat rush hour traffic on the way home.
Yeah, Coach, as much as I would like to go in the game, what is it, JT? You probably even forgot his name. You probably called him something else.
They
What
call
is
it 14.
What is it, O'Malley? You think every Mick is the same? It's O'Sullivan. Yeah, whatever it is. I'm getting ready to put you in. Our season's over anyway. You proved to me that you want to be here another season. Obviously, I mean, undoubtedly, obviously, he was not good under pressure. He sat on the bench all year. All he had to do to earn his scrumpets was go in there. The last game or the second last game of the season, Mickey.
I thought you said it was the last game.
It was the last, or there was the second to the last.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, when you're pulling numbers and names and players and point spreads and ages and chronological team orders and Dan Marino's kids' names. I mean, it's a lot of stuff to put in the old database here. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let's see if we can suck 4 more games out of that database before we call it a night. Wait a minute. So, anyway, that's our tribute to J.T. O'Sullivan. Storied and unusual career in the NFL.
Do you think anybody else, real quickly though, but do you think anybody else at any semblance of an NFL show in the country does a dedication to J.T. O'Sullivan?
Doubtful. Very doubtful.
But it happened here.
That's right, on the Joey and Mickey
Who were
Pro
first?
Football Show. Can we do a station break?